Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of College Hockey Talk. On today's podcast, I'm joined by senior defenseman of the UNH women's hockey team, Julia Scammell. Julia, welcome to the podcast, and how's everything going?
Hi, thank you for having me. Everything's going well. How are you?
I'm doing all right, just enjoying my last week off before I head back to school, so everything's going well on my end.
Great.
Now, I want to start off this podcast by talking about last weekend's series you had against UConn. You unfortunately lost both of those games, but what do you think went wrong during that series, in your opinion?
Um, yeah, it was unfortunate for us. I think we just kind of lost our sense of kind of the basics that we try to stick to. Usually it's a big adjustment for us when we go from our huge rink to a smaller barn like theirs. So I think we just kind of lacked that knowledge of their rink size and how physical they play. Sometimes we don't play as physical as some of the other teams, so I think that's something that we can always try to be better at.
Yeah, and what's the key to improving your team's offensive performance, especially after getting shut out in two straight games?
Yeah, we worked a lot today actually at practice on getting shots through, battling for pucks around the net, and I think ultimately it just comes down to getting more shots on goal and kind of battling closer to the net, picking up sticks, getting pucks through, and banging some of them home.
Your team has had some success, though, throughout the regular season this year. You beat the number 8 team in the country in Boston University. You also beat Northeastern in a shootout as well. How important are those types of wins for your team moving forward?
Yeah, they're super important. Every win in Hockey East is huge, and our league is so close. But yeah, when you beat those big teams, it definitely gives you a lot of confidence moving forward.
Now, what has been the biggest improvement you've made to your game since last year?
I think confidence-wise, I'm a lot more confident. I've always been more of the defensive defenseman, so I'm trying to really work on being more offensive and jumping up into the play. And I think I have been doing that a little bit better this year. So.
Now, many college hockey players have had to adjust to many new things throughout this new season. One of those things is no fans in attendance. What has that been like for yourself playing with no fans, especially in an arena like Whittemore, where it's one of the biggest arenas in college hockey?
Yeah, it's a little bit different. We usually get quite a few fans compared to our opponents, and we have some really great loyal fans who are at most of our games. So yeah, it's been an adjustment, but we've really tried to focus on keeping those factors out of our minds while we're playing the game. But yeah, we do miss our fans cheering us on.
You've also had to adjust to many schedule changes throughout the season. How have you mentally stayed prepared for all those changes and postponements that are bound to happen to your schedule and that have already happened to your schedule? And what's the key to maintaining flexibility throughout this season?
Yeah, our coaches really talked to us a lot about this and just being mentally prepared to have anything change at this point. We really don't know, honestly, if we're going to play the game until we're on the ice playing it. So we've had to adjust in that sense and not have to worry about what time our game is. We've had a couple time changes right before we've played, a couple postponed, a couple different things that have happened and have been happening to every team in hockey. So it's been an adjustment, but I think overall we've handled it well. Going forward, we're going to have to keep our minds in that same space, be ready.
Now, as a senior, you're used to preparing for different opponents. And this year, obviously, that has changed. How have you changed your game day routine this year compared to other seasons, especially since you kind of don't know who you're going to play until like a day before the game happens? So has like pre-scout changed for yourself, or have you tried to keep same routine throughout this year compared to your other 3 years with UNH?
Yeah, I think I've focused on trying to keep it as close to being the same as what I've always done. Things are obviously a little bit different with just different schedule changes, and it is weird sometimes when you're supposed to play, say, at 6 and your game ends up being earlier. You have to kind of adjust what you might do in your pregame rituals, but overall, I've kept it pretty much the same. And one big change when that kind of thing happens is what I eat and what time I'll be eating my meals. Obviously, that's going to play a big role in how you play. So there's been a couple times where I've had to adjust meal times and making sure I'm fueled properly. So.
Now, 3-on-3 overtime has also been introduced to college hockey this year. What has that been like for yourself, being a defenseman and having more space on the ice for more offensive opportunities to score goals?
Yeah, I really like it. It gets tiring on our ice because we play on such huge surface, but yeah, I do really like it. You have a lot more time and space, and especially on our ice too. There's a lot of room to play with the puck and be more offensive too. Jump up in the play when there's only three of you on the surface. So I've liked it.
Now, how have the freshman class looked like in your eyes, and how have you helped their transition into college hockey, especially since this is something that you've never experienced before, a COVID-like season?
Yeah, they're awesome. They're some of the best skilled players we have right now, and I think they've done a really good job adjusting. And it's been weird for some of the upperclassmen because we're used to having it different, and they're kind of not lucky, but it's nice to maybe be in their shoes because they don't know anything else as of right now. So they've handled it really well, though, and we try to make them obviously feel as welcome as we can and help them through these times because it can be hard for a lot of people.
Now, being a senior this year, what have you learned about yourself as a player being in a more leadership role? And are you more of a vocal leader or a lead by example type of player?
I'm definitely more of a lead by example. I've never been really vocal. I'll try to be on the ice as much as I can, but in the locker room, I tend to be more of a lead by example, and I just try to always do the right things on and off the ice, and hopefully some of the younger players can notice that since I'm not as vocal as some other people, but it works for me. So.
Now, I want to switch gears and talk about the beginning of your hockey career. You're from Nova Scotia. Talk about growing up there and how did you start playing hockey?
Yeah, I've kind of always just been around hockey. My dad always played, so I kind of got into it from him and watching him play. And I also have a sister who plays, but she's younger than me, so I started out before her. But I think I started skating on the pond in our backyard at like 2 or 3 years old, and then I always played boys hockey growing up, and I loved that. And I think that's the reason I'm where I am right now. Just because girls hockey isn't as physical, and I think you need to have that kind of mentality when you're playing at this level for sure. So I kind of give the credit to my family and playing growing up playing boys hockey for sure.
Yeah, and who was your favorite player growing up, and how do you try to model your game after their game?
Oh, I had a lot of favorite players, but from the NHL side, I would say Sidney Crosby was definitely my favorite player, and him being from Nova Scotia too. I always kind of looked up to him, but obviously he plays a way different game than what I would play being on defense. But yeah, I just growing up would always watch him, and I would also try and watch the defense as much as I could. When you're younger, I guess you don't usually, or I never really had a set position. You kind of just play wherever. So I watched all the NHL guys and tried to do what I could that was similar to them.
Now, before UNH, you played in the Nova Scotia Midget Hockey League. You were
Mhm.
named the top defenseman every year you played, as well as winning a provincial championship. Talk about how you got the opportunity to play in that league.
Yeah, that's the only midget league in Nova Scotia. So that's once you get to midget, that's the highest you can play. So obviously, I really worked hard to try and make it there. And then I played in East Hants my first year, and then in Pictou County my next 3 years, 4 years. So yeah, I loved it there. I loved my teammates and the teams I played for, and I'm really grateful I stayed in Nova Scotia to play in that league for sure.
You are also a member of Team Nova Scotia, participating in the Canada Winter Games in Prince George, British Columbia in 2015. Talk about that experience and what was it like representing your province, I guess, in that type of stage?
Yeah, it was awesome. It was obviously amazing being able to represent your province and to be on that stage and play against some really good players. It was definitely something that I learned a lot from and brought back to my team at home. But yeah, it was awesome experience and just the atmosphere being around that. It was kind of like a mini Olympic kind of feel. So it was really cool.
Now, how did those experiences help prepare you for college hockey?
Yeah, I would say hugely. I played in Team Nova Scotia for multiple years, and I really feel like that kind of shaped my game. And you get to work with players that you don't always get to play with, maybe play against them, some of them, but and then you get to have some experience and learn some new things from different coaches as well. So I think it was huge in my play and learning some new things along the road.
Now, talk about your recruiting process and why did you choose New Hampshire? And did you face any adversity getting noticed by schools in the US?
Yeah, it was hard at the beginning, just being from such a small place. But I always made sure I was doing some other tournaments, and um, I would do some tournaments in the States, and a lot of the schools would attend these and watch players. So that's how I got noticed. And as far as my recruiting process, I visited a couple schools and I just knew the feeling when I got to UNH, saw the campus, met some people, and I just knew kind of right away that this place felt like home to me. So that's why I chose UNH.
Now, what was the biggest adjustment you had to make to college hockey? Was it the mental side of the game, making quicker decisions with the puck, or was it more just the physicality side of the game, playing against players that were 5 years older than you were at the time when you were a freshman?
Yeah, I think a little bit of both. It was obviously a lot faster, a lot bigger ice that I had to adjust to, and then mentally too, just being prepared to play against players who I knew were at that point some 5 years older than me and had been playing in the league for a way longer time than me. So I think a little bit of both, definitely.
Now, how did you adjust from being far away from home and being in a different country? Was that an adjustment for yourself? And if so, how did you try to get through that challenge of being away from home for the first time?
Yeah, it was really difficult for me at first. Freshman year was rough in that sense. I was really homesick at first, but I think over time you just know that you have to get through it, and everyone here was really welcoming too. So it took a little time, but eventually I did adjust, and everything was going well. My living arrangements were great too, so that really helped a lot. But yeah, it ended up being great.
Now, talk about getting to play at the Whittemore Center and getting to play on a bigger ice surface. And what are the advantages and disadvantages to that as a defenseman?
Yeah, some advantages I would say would just be more time and space with the puck. I think that's huge when you're playing in a smaller rink. You know, you have to make your decisions a lot faster. So that's definitely an advantage. A disadvantage, I don't know what for. I would say disadvantage for some other teams is how hard it is to skate for that long on an ice that's surface that's that big. For us, we're used to it, so it's not really a challenge. We do all of our conditioning on that ice, so we're definitely used to the size. But I know a lot of girls on other teams kind of complain that it's harder to play on our ice just because there is a lot more skating during the games.
Now, in your first year at UNH, you lost to Northeastern in the Hockey East playoffs. So, what did you take away from your first Hockey East playoff experience?
Yeah, I took a lot away. It was a big learning curve for me. Just at that point, still, learning every day, trying to get used to the speed of everything, and to play Northeastern, who is an amazing team. I learned a lot, just from playing them and seeing those girls, and trying to model myself from some of those defensemen, and watching our D2, and I just learned a lot that year.
Now, in your junior year, your team improved a lot. What did you do during that off season to make such improvements, and what role did you play in that team success you had this past year?
Yeah, I trained a lot in the summer. I usually try and take a little bit of a break of skating, just for my hips. But yeah, I know we all trained a lot in the summer, and um, coming back, we just had the mindset, really, to win. And it's hard to put into words, but when your team has it, you kind of just know. And we did get it after a bit, and we ran with it for a stretch. So.
Yeah, you beat Providence in the playoffs last year. Talk about that series and what emotions were you feeling after beating that team and having your first playoff series win?
Yeah, definitely one of my best memories here. The feeling was unreal. There's nothing really you can say to describe it, but um, beating them, especially too, where they're such a great team, I was just really proud of us, and how far we came, and just just making it there was awesome. So.
You lost to UConn in the semifinals the next season, game you had. Even though you lost, what did you take away from that game and gain the chance to play in the hockey semifinals for the first time?
Yeah, it was obviously a super great experience. Our first time in a while, making it to the semis, and playing UConn. Like I said before, they're super super physical. So I think we definitely took away that side of the game. And after the game, although we did lose, we learned a lot about our team and what we might need to do next season to try and beat them. Um, yeah.
Now, you got to play with a lot of great seniors this past year, including Meghara McManus, Tori Howren, and Carly Turner, and Taylor Wenskowski. What were they like as teammates? And talk about the leadership they brought to your team, and what did you learn from their leadership that has helped for your leadership skills for this season?
Yeah, they were amazing. They were all big leaders on our team, and obviously some of our best players. They're all playing pro now, so I really look up to them, for sure. But as far as modeling myself around them, I mean, we were all really great friends. So I try to take away a lot of what they instilled in our team. As far as leadership, some of them were more vocal, some not. So try to learn some from them. But definitely great players and awesome people off the ice too.
Now, reflecting on your past 3 seasons with UNH, what do you feel like needs to be improved to get over the hump and win a hockey championship and make your first national tournament appearance?
Yeah, I think this year we can definitely make it. We have a lot of freshmen come in, but a lot of they also bring a lot to our team, and I think we just need to get back to the basics, and really hone in on our skills and what we're good at, and use those to our advantage going forward down the stretch.
We're now in the non-hockey segment of the podcast where I ask you some non-hockey questions. My first one is, what music do you like to listen to before a game or just on a general basis?
I really like country, which is weird before a game, but I do listen to country, and then usually before I'll put on, like right before we go out, I'll listen to just whatever the team has on the speaker, which is usually some rap or pop music. So
Who's your go-to country artist? Is it someone like Thomas Rhett?
yeah, I really like him, Morgan Wallen. Yeah.
Nice. What's your thoughts on Morgan Wallen's new album that you just released about a week ago, I think?
Yeah, I love it. I have all of them downloaded. I love it.
Nice. Now, what is the biggest pet peeve? What is your biggest pet peeve?
Um, Probably people that chew with their mouth open. Or like loud chewing. It bothers me.
Now, being from Canada, what is your favorite outdoor activity?
I would say in the winter it would probably be pond hockey. And in the summer, I we have a lake that we go to, so we do a lot of like tubing and water skiing, those kind of activities. So I really like that.
Nice. Now, if you could have lunch with anyone in the world, who would it be and why?
Hmm, that's hard. Honestly, it would probably be my grandmother's. A little dark, but before she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, I would probably have lunch with her again.
That's nice. Now, who is the funniest on the team?
I would have to give this one to Tamara Theris. She's always the one with all the jokes.
Now, who has the best style on the team besides yourself?
um, Probably Tam again. Honestly, she takes pride in her tape jobs and her socks and everything about her style. I like it, so give that one to her too.
Now, back to some hockey questions now. What should be done to help grow women's hockey, and what would you tell someone to help change their mindset on the sport?
I think a lot can be done. Just in terms of noticing women's hockey, and maybe broadcasting things more in favor of us. I know men's hockey is obviously huge, and they're the ones that make the money. But I feel like if women's hockey was broadcasted more and more, we had more fans. Maybe the women's side could generate some more money too. So.
Now, what advice would you give a younger player trying to pursue a Division I college hockey scholarship?
I would say just never give up on your dreams. I feel like any young player coming up has the dream to play D1, hopefully at some point. But I mean, you face a lot of adversity, especially being a women's ice hockey player and it's kind of a men's sport. So I would just say just keep following your dreams and go play on those big teams that you want to play for, and hopefully, if you're good enough, you will get noticed. So
Now, what should I do better as an interviewer to improve and make this podcast better?
I think you're doing great. The questions were awesome, so thumbs up from me.
Well, I appreciate that, Julia. Is there any shout outs you'd like to give to any of your teammates, friends, or family members?
Probably, I guess just my family. Shout out to my mom and my dad and my sister at home. I haven't seen them since like the end of August. We haven't been able to travel due to COVID, but yeah, I'd just say shout out to them. I miss them.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Julia. I really appreciate it. It was a pleasure getting the chance to meet and talk with you. Stay safe and good luck for the rest of this season. And you're a great hockey player and an even better person. It was an honor getting the chance to interview you.
Thank you very much for having me.
No problem. Have a great day. Bye.
You too.